Welcome to How to Leave Teaching, the podcast for educators feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just yearning for something more. I'm Julie, once in your shoes, navigating those same challenges and emotions. Here, we share heartfelt stories and tactical advice from former teachers who found their way out, ensuring you're not alone on this journey. I am so glad you found us. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Jacqueline Butler, and she's an Etsy and online business coach, and she teaches her students how to make profitable passive income by selling digital downloads on Etsy. I know a lot of folks in our audience are selling digital products on Teachers Pay Teachers and some on Etsy. I think this is going to be a really rich episode if you want to find out how to build that kind of profitable and sustainable business on your own. And Jacqueline's going to share with us some really proven strategies. She's a top 0.1% Etsy star seller. So that's a big deal. Over 80,000 sales, 5,000 five-star reviews. This is meaningful content today, which she's crafting her next digital product. You'll find her chasing after her two young kids, cozied up with coffee and a book, or binge watching Real Housewives. This resonates. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I really appreciate it. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about what your teaching background was like, and how you came upon the end of that chapter?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I was actually a phys ed teacher. I taught health and PE for 13 years, and middle school level and high school level. So my background had absolutely nothing to do with art or graphic design or, I wasn't making worksheets as often as other teachers were, for gym classes. So my background with and how it kind of translated into what I do now, that didn't really exist as much as maybe some other people have, some more experience with that. But so that's what I did. And I left this past summer. I signed up to do a sabbatical because I just wanted a break. And then when I really thought about actually going back after the sabbatical was over, and how they kind of lock you in after a sabbatical and say, you have to stay for a whole nother year. And I wanted to give my business a chance. And I said, I don't want to be locked in anymore. And I just kind of pulled the trigger and resigned. So that's my history of how long I had been teaching and what I had been teaching. So yeah, I don't miss it.
Yeah, I feel that. I miss the kids and pretty much everything else I don't miss, especially kind of just like my day-to-day reality and being more in control of that. So what is it like for you now? What's a typical day look like now that you're out of the classroom?
Yeah, I agree with you. I miss some of the kids, most of the kids. If I'm being honest, high school is a little bit of a challenge, and especially with health and PE when it's organized chaos. So that's kind of different. I miss my coworkers. I don't miss my administration. But my typical day now and how different it looks. And so for any other high school teachers, they know, you start so early. I was out the door at 6:30. I contractually had to start at 7:05. I was on at 7:20. And so I never got to see my kids go off to school. And that's something that is a huge reason as to why I was able to leave and to just kind of pull that trigger of sending in my resignation, because now I get to take my kids to school every day. I get those extra cuddles in the morning. I get to wake them up. I get to sit on the couch and have hot coffee, not lukewarm coffee. And I get to have that hot coffee and sit with my kids and enjoy that freedom. And it's those little moments that make everything worth it for me. It's being able to take them into school and to talk with the teacher at the door. That's kind of what every day I feel gratitude that I'm able to do that. And so
Yeah,
then, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would imagine. I mean, we don't really think about these things we're giving up until we do.
Totally. Totally. And I think what triggered for me the reality of like I can't do this anymore. I can't put my kids first. You know, I'm replaceable at work. They're going to replace me. And, you know, even the day that I gave my resignation letter in, they were like, okay, thanks. You know, I thought that they were going to beg me to stay. You know, how valued am I? And I
Right.
really
Well, you've
wasn't.
given so much of yourself, and then that's the thanks. It's sick.
Yeah, it really is. And just you know, they were like, well, you know, you're obviously going to be missed, but see ya, you know. And it's not like this corporate world where they say, hey, we'll offer you $20,000 more if you stay. That public education can't do that. So they're just like, okay, see ya, you know. And that was something where I know that I'm not replaceable at home, and I know I'm not replaceable in my kids' lives. And so the day that I realized, okay, I can't do this anymore, as I was picking up my son from school, and I'm in the car line, and he comes out and he's wearing pajamas. And I'm like, what the hell are you wearing pajamas for? And he gets in the car. I'm like, why are you wearing pajamas? And he's like, well, Mom, it was pajama day. And it was at that moment where I realized I didn't even know it was pajama day for my kid. I had no clue. I had no idea. You know, I didn't know what day library day was, that he had to, you know, be making sure that that was done. You know, homework wasn't getting done. And thank God my kid, he was only in first grade, so it didn't really matter. But I was looking at that, like, I'm missing these moments of knowing when it's pajama day for my kid, because I'm out the door at 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is the first time that I've seen my kid, and it's after 4 o'clock. And so that was kind of the moment where I got home. You know, my poor husband had to deal with me constantly being in this wishy-washy state of, should I stay, should I go? But this, you know, my kids, my students need me, and my administration needs me, and my coworkers need me, when in reality they don't. And, you know, it's my kids that need me. Yeah. You know?
Well, how long were you in that kind of wishy-washy stage?
Oh, that's such a good question, because it honestly really started to probably like 2 years. I had started my Etsy business with digital downloads in June of 2020. And it wasn't until it really started to take off that I saw that there was this glimmer of hope. Before, I just thought, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm going to be a teacher, and this is what I was meant to do. I, you know, played softball in college, and I'm supposed to be a gym teacher, and my mom was a teacher, and this is my skill set. And I just have never left school since kindergarten. So this is where I'm supposed to be during the day. And so when I started to see this glimmer of hope that there's a whole world out there that isn't teaching, that's when I started that seed of like, maybe I'm meant for something more. I think I always knew that I was meant for something, and I shouldn't say more, because that's not the right word. It's, I was meant for something different, because I will shout it from the rooftops that teachers deserve all of the praise in the entire world. They work harder than, I believe, any other job. Yeah. But
definitely.
Yeah, like, for sure. But I think I always knew I wasn't meant for it. I think I always knew that I was meant for something different. I just didn't know what that was. So I think I was like, okay, I guess this is just where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. And when this started happening, and I started making money, and I started seeing that income happening, that was really when I was like, oh my gosh, this could actually work. But what happened was I took so long, and I dragged my feet with resigning, because I think that the handcuffs that education puts on us, it really is within us, but it's you're leaving benefits, you're leaving a pension, you're leaving the students, you have that teacher guilt of leaving, you know, everybody's relying on you. And what was so wild about putting in my resignation is that no, they didn't. And that stuff, you know, they're going to be okay, and they're going to replace you, and they're going to be.
That's a hard thing to really stomach, but it's like, yeah, I mean, life goes on.
Life goes on. And I now come home, and my mind isn't filled with that, should I stay, should I go? You know, I'm making this completely other salary. I was tripling my teaching salary, and I still felt like I couldn't leave teaching. And that's
Oh my God.
crazy.
No, it's not. It's so powerful. I mean, I hope that people listening really take something from that. That just goes to show that, we do talk about all of these structural issues that keep us in teaching, and it is a lot of emotional stuff.
Totally.
And I mean, you pointed to a lot of it. It's just like, you've been in school forever, because we all have.
Yeah.
We do think it's like, it's a calling. It feels bigger than a job. And that can really keep you stuck. I do want to go back to what you said about being made for something more, though. I think that language does make a lot of sense. For me, it was like, I'm climbing up, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm getting this certification, that one, but you don't get to move anywhere. You're a teacher. If you want to do something else in the school system, you've got to become an administrator. And I was never interested in that. And naturally, we're getting better and better at our craft, but we're just still a teacher. We're just stuck there. There's no room for growth. Mm-hmm. And I think that does lead to a feeling of like, hey, I want to do something more. I want to do something different, but I have nowhere to go.
Yep. I completely understand that. And, our administration, our professional developments are asking us to do more and more on our job. So when I started 13 years ago, I don't feel like it was what it is now. I think that every year we're getting asked to do more and more. And I don't know if that was just me getting older and grumpier about, a little bit more seasoned, but it really felt like we were getting asked to do more and more and jump through more hoops. And all of that, it just started to take away from what I thought I loved from the beginning. But looking back, there was always a part of me that had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I never knew what to do with that. And I never knew, and I tried all the things. I tried the MLMs. I tried, doing stuff on Etsy with a Cricut machine. I tried freelancing. I tried virtual assisting. I tried print on demand. I tried all these things because I had always known there was a part of me that wanted something a little bit more than what I was getting. And you're right. I mean, yeah, we maybe got a raise every year, a little percentage of a raise as a teacher. But and I don't know if there's any other teachers that are listening, but I mean, I got stuck in a weird year of when I started that I've had more pay freeze years than actual pay raise years. So while I was teaching for 13 years, I was on step 6 in my contract. Like, I don't know if I stayed the whole time, if I even would have made it to the top. And so that was kind of something that was hard for me to look at and be like, okay, so that's my end goal. But I'll get there at 35 years. And I have my master's, I have my master's plus 30, and I'm still not seeing that. So I think that when you release those handcuffs, it really, things start to come to light that like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And my headspace and my mental health, I believe I probably created it worse than maybe it was, but my mental health I was getting so anxious and so upset. And so I was in such a toxic environment in my own head because I didn't want to be teaching anymore. And it just was kind of like resonating in that way. And it pushed me out. I didn't have a choice. And then once I released all of that, I have never felt more free, with more gratitude every single day. And now when I talk with my coworkers or my prior coworkers, it's like everything they talk about, I'm just like, I am so glad that doesn't fill my headspace anymore. I am so glad that I don't have to do it. There's not one part of me that regrets leaving. And the relationships that I formed, I still have. I have students that I meet up with for coffee and, I still have all of that. So that doesn't go anywhere, but I released all the things that no longer served me.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful too, because you're saying, hey, I had built this success on the side. I saw the numbers, and yet I'm still in this kind of golden handcuff situation. What was it that pushed you over the edge and allowed you to have like the courage, I would guess is the best word to break out?
Yeah, I think that one day I was so in my head about it. And I remember one day, it was in the middle of the summer, and I was just talking about, hey, I have to go back after my sabbatical in January. And I have to go back then. And my husband and I had planned a trip right before that. We were going to go to Siesta Key for like a couple days, just me and him, to celebrate the end of my sabbatical. And I was going to go back. So people were asking me, oh, are you excited about Siesta Key? And I was like, actually, no, because I know what that trip means. I know that that trip means that that's my last hurrah. And then I have to go back like the next week and start teaching. And that night, I just had so much anxiety about starting back at school. And I wasn't even at school. Like, I was looking months down the road, and I couldn't imagine myself going back in the classroom and putting myself back in that position. And that was the day where I just looked at my husband and said, I can't do it anymore. And I can't be the one that's bringing in two incomes. I need to bring in one income, and it's going to be from my side business, the one that's, making more than my teaching salary, but I can't do it anymore. And I thought that he was going to be a little bit more, resistant to the idea. And he just said to me, he goes, thank God, I've been so tired of hearing you go back and forth. Like, thank God you are not, that you made your decision. And then from that moment forward, I knew if I stayed teaching, I would regret it. And if I left, I would never regret it. And that always kind of stuck with me. Like, if I left, would I regret it? No. And I don't, and not for a moment.
Yeah, I totally believe that. And it's a weird mental place to be, though. I mean, I still keep my teaching certification current, and it's like, why am I doing that years later? There's some kind of sense of security, even though it's a shit show. Like,
it totally is.
Why?
I
mean, I guess the lesson is like, sometimes it won't make sense, and you just got to, it sounds like it became clear for you. Everything in you started screaming, no, we're not going back.
I think that for like my all last year, I mean, my situation at school just became so toxic for me and in my headspace that every day I hit a breaking point where I was like, I just can't live like this anymore. I just can't do it. And I actually retired. So I am collecting a pension. It's not a lot, but it's something for the rest of my life. And, I'll take it. But what's cool is new opportunities open up when you least expect it. And even though I retired from teaching, I got an email or a text message from one of my friends at my alma mater university. And she said, hey, we're looking for supervisors for student teachers, but you have to be available during the day. And we're looking for former or retired teachers to do it. I said, sign me up. I'll do that. So I'll still be able to go in the classroom at a different capacity and observe student teachers and make my own schedule that way. But that opportunity never would have been there. So I kind of get the perks of still having my toes in the water of education, but like without any of the bullshit.
Yep. And I mean, that's one of the main things I hear from people. It's like, I still want to be involved with kids. And you have to have a real love of students and love of the education, ethos to be there in the first place, especially with any persistence over time. So
yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. I love that sprung up for you. And I think that's a great takeaway for anybody that feels like they're going to lose that connection completely if they leave. You don't have to.
You don't have to. Yeah.
So how did you come at your idea for these digital products, and what made you gravitate toward Etsy over different platforms?
So I had, like I had said before, I had tried all these different side hustles just to kind of make ends meet at home and provide some kind of supplemental income. So I was familiar-ish with Etsy. I had tried, getting the Cricut machine and creating shirts and mugs. And I am so apologetic to those people who actually bought something from me when I was creating those, because it was just, everybody's beginning is cringeworthy, right? So yeah, it wasn't great, but I was familiar with the platform a little bit. And then as I was 2020 hit, we went virtual for teaching. And it really, I was at home and I was creating things online to get kids involved. And, that was just kind of our world, virtual teaching. And I started seeing like these digital products, even teachers pay teachers, but I was seeing also that things were being sold on Etsy. And I was familiar with that platform. I wasn't really familiar with teachers pay teachers at that time. And so I created in June 2020, I just created a few things online and was like, I'm just going to try to see how this goes. And within my first 2 weeks, I made my first sale. And instead of being like, oh, I only made one sale in 2 weeks, in my first 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, I made a sale in 2 weeks of having my shop open. I'm going to make more. And I kept with it. And I started creating and diversifying what I was putting in my shop. And I was growing it to the point where my first 6 months from June to December of 2020, I had made $15,000. And I was like, that's amazing. And what's so cool that drew me to selling digital products is the profit margin. There is no other product out there or even service where you're not trading your time for money. So I make it once, I sell it over and over and over again. It lives there forever. If you know how to save anything to a PDF, then you can do the exact same thing. It sells over and over again. I made it for free on Canva. We all use, or any other kind of software that you have on your computer. It's made for free. And a listing on Etsy is 20 cents. You also have 95 million customers coming to Etsy. You have built-in traffic. There's nowhere else that you're going to find that kind of traffic. So I'm like, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm just going to save a PDF, upload it onto Etsy. Let's see if something happens. And it did, and it started to take off. And so I started to fine-tune what I was doing, how I was doing it. And that's just like anything. And then my next year, from January to December 2021, I had made just about $125,000. And it was all profit, because none of that was going to materials. None of that was going to shipping. None of that was going to anything. My time, I had made it a year prior and it was selling. So that was something that I became addicted to, understanding passive income and digital products. And I think that the word passive income, it does exist. It does. But you got to do a hell of a lot of work in the beginning to get to that point. So when people have this overnight, hey, you can make, 6 figures tomorrow. No, it's you got to work, but it'll happen for you if you put the work in now. So that's why I loved Etsy. I loved digital products. I wasn't trading my time for money. I was able to go on vacations. I was able to spend time with my kids or not, and spend time with my husband, or just read a book and not feel like I have to go make this product. I have to go, create this thing for this client, or I have to go to work and do X, Y, and Z. I did it. I got to relax. I just got to hear the cha-chings on my phone and wake up to sales notifications. It was the best.
Yeah, I think it does take so much work in the beginning, right? But also what you mentioned was your mindset. I mean, you can say, I got only one sale, or you could say, this is working. Like, let's keep going. So how did you come at that mindset?
I feel like that when that happened, when I started getting the first sales, I very easily could have been like, oh, this is not worth my time. But I found myself enjoying what I was doing. I'm like, I actually could make a little bit of money on this, and I actually enjoy this. I have to do it anyways. I have to be on my computer. I have time to create this. I am able to be creative in a different way than, like crafty. Like, this was a way that I was able to, and I think teachers can understand, part of what we love to do as teachers is, creating those worksheets or those slides or those presentations where you're like, oh, this is a cute graphic, or, oh, I like this font, or I like the way that this transitions to one or the other, or I like this border I put. We're able to give our creative juices. I mean, even bulletin boards or handwriting, we enjoy being creative. There's that aspect of us. So channeling that creativity, it doesn't have to be, like I said, I was a gym teacher. I wasn't an art teacher. So we have that within us. You already have what it takes to create a pretty looking PDF file. It could be anything. It could be a tracker, a planner, an itinerary, a gardening ebook. It doesn't matter what you sell. It's you as a teacher know how to do that. And I felt like I was enjoying creating for profits rather than creating for my students, for it to be ending up in the trash can or not completed. So it was like I was creating for a different purpose, and people were enjoying it.
Yeah, that resonates. I had a moment where I went, I was in academia and you do a lot of writing. And I went, wow, like there's so much time going into writing articles and books, and I'm not seeing any profit. There's nothing coming to me. This money's going somewhere. It's going to, the publisher. Why am I doing that? We have so much time, so much energy. Like, are we going to spend it on something that's going to actually benefit us? But what you're doing is also benefiting their customers, right? Like, it's a little bit of a different framing than we're used to as teachers, but it's so similar.
It is. And I think, for teachers that are looking for something like this, I think Teachers Pay Teachers is a really great platform to kind of start on, because you already have those things done that are geared towards students. What I was doing is, I didn't have a whole lot of worksheets that were geared towards students for phys ed. So I was kind of going in a bit of a different direction of like, not so student. I didn't have the student as my target audience for products. So the Etsy made more sense for me, where I was kind of going off in a passion project rather than a professional type. But I would say I also do have Teachers Pay Teachers. So there's items that I can sell on Etsy, and I also sell them on Teachers Pay Teachers, because those things can also be used in the classroom. So there are some things that I sell that it has no reason to be on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's just, that would be a waste to put it on. But there are some things that are, and I put that on. Why not? Diversify the way that I get paid. And so even though Teachers Pay Teachers doesn't pay me as much as Etsy does, if I have like $10,000 a month coming in from Etsy, I'll have like a couple $100 coming in from Teachers Pay Teachers. But I set that up last year and I haven't touched it, and I'm still getting that money coming in.
Yeah, I get that. And you could probably do a little bit of A/B testing, right? Is
Totally.
that something you do with, we haven't talked about this, but you also coach people to be able to set up their own business in this.
Yes.
In this area. So how did that get started, and how do you work with people?
So that got started when originally when I first started doing this. People were asking, what are you doing on the side? And these are just friends of mine. What are you doing? Oh, I want to try it. I want to teach me how to do that. And I would have, Zoom calls with them, and I'm working through just trying to help them. And there wasn't anything, I wasn't looking to get into a coaching business with it. I was just helping other people out. And it got to a point where I had so many people asking me, what are you doing? How can you do this? I know that I can do that too. I'm like, yes, you can. And when I finally left my job, but I also didn't have time for it. I was teaching, I was a mom, I was a wife, had my own side hustle of selling on Etsy. I didn't have time to coach other people on doing that too. But when I decided to resign, I originally thought, I'm just going to go full time in my Etsy business. I'm just going to kind of really dive into that. But the freedom that I felt, the gratitude that I feel every single day for being able to not only be out of the classroom, but to be able to be free in what I create, in how I create it, in where I create it, and the amount of money that I'm able to bring in, that feeling of freedom, I felt so called to serve others, to help other people find that freedom too. And that freedom doesn't have to look like $1 million beach house. That freedom could just look like knowing that it's pajama day. And that are those little freedoms that mean the world to me. And I want to be able to help other people do that. So, I mean, it certainly is a process, but I'm in the process right now of creating a course online to help others. I have a free Facebook group where I'm there. Any questions you have, I am here to help you answer it. I want you to have success also in this space. Slide into my DMs, ask me any questions on Instagram. I'm there. I'm willing. I'm an open book to help other people out. I know that I wasn't, and I'm not, and I will not be the only teacher that goes into work every day and feels that unsettled feeling of, I don't want to be here. I'm made for something different. But I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I don't want to do something that's going to take time away from my family or take time away from, things that I love that bring me joy. And I felt like this was the best option. And I tried them all. It was the best option for my lifestyle and for what my skill set was, and how that translated into a multiple 6-figure business blew my mind. And so if I can help other women who felt the way that I did, or other teachers, that's what my purpose is.
I think it's really powerful. There's like a gendered thing to all of this for me, where, we work full time as women, and then we do a majority of the housework and work with the kids, and it's a lot. And I think I'm seeing more and more where women are going, I want time freedom. I want to be able to put my energy around the things I care about and really taking it back. I think that's super inspiring.
Yeah. And it's the little things like going grocery shopping during the day.
Oh, I
in the
know.
week.
Game changer. Like,
total game changer. That's a game changer. And like being able to just get my hair done and on a Wednesday at noon. I mean, I never was able to do that. I remember teaching and, first of all, asking permission to go out and get lunch if you forgot it. Like having to ask for permission to go get lunch.
Adult.
Asking permission. And so leaving campus to go get lunch. And I remember driving around and looking at other people and being like, what aren't you guys supposed to be in school? What do you all do? Like, how do you have a life? Yeah. And now that's like, I'm one of those people that are out during the day doing the things. And now Christmas shopping during the day, it's a game changer.
All these things add up, right, to like really improving your quality of life. And you don't understand how much it's kind of weighing you down before you get to that place of freedom. I feel like, even having like you, I had to be at school by 7:05 or whatever. And I wasn't sleeping. How the heck are you supposed to get everything done after work and then get up at 5 a.m. and commute? And I mean, that has real implications for your health.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because I one day got a little bit curious and I just drove by my school. Like I was like in the area and I'm like, I'm just going to drive by, just like see, just kind of like seeing all the cars there and all the kids. And I drove by and my body had an immediate reaction. And I started to feel that like tension, anxiety, stress. And I was just driving by the building. And it was so wild to me that is what I lived in for 13 years. I lived in that feeling. I lived in that space. And I don't feel that anymore at all. And so I was able to recognize like how much even my body, my mental health, it all ties together. And to me, that freedom of not feeling that way anymore is worth, I mean, I could live off of ramen noodle soup for the rest of my life and I'll still be happier than, it's not about the money. It's not, it's about the freedom. And I think setting yourself up for that, believing that you can do it. And that's really what it is, like not giving up and shifting your mindset to like, I'm unwilling to live like this anymore. And I'll do whatever it takes to point myself onto that trajectory moving forward.
Yeah. Even if those listening are just having kind of that little nagging feeling like maybe this isn't for me, or like, I don't know if this is supporting my best self or my health, like that is something to listen to, because I think just as you're describing, all of it becomes apparent that you've been giving up, that you've been, accepting that's detrimental to your mental, physical health, emotional health. That stuff you're probably pushing down just to make it through day to day, because it is so taxing.
Yeah. And I went out for a happy hour with one of my old coworkers, and I was talking with her about it all. And she goes, I had no idea that you were so unhappy. I had no idea. And, I know that I'm not the only one that just showed up every day at work and put a smile on my face and went through the entire day and did your job and did it well. I have kids that were devastated that reached out to me and said, what do you mean you're not coming back next year? What are you talking about that you left teaching? Like you were the best teacher. I have people who are becoming teachers because I was their teacher. So that all is, you can still be really good at what you do and being really good as a teacher and do that well. But if you have that nagging feeling that you're made for something different, or there's something else out there for you, and even if you don't want to leave teaching, if you just want to see, like, maybe I just want to see if I could do something and supplement my income and just kind of push my boundaries of, am I capable of doing something more than just this? Try it out. You have nothing to lose. And, just give yourself a shot, like try it and see if it works for you. And if you start to feel that little feeling of, maybe I am made for something a little bit more than what I'm doing.
It's a great exit strategy, because you don't really have to have the courage or the resolve immediately. You could be building this and kind of gathering the courage and resolve from seeing your business grow on the side and seeing that you can replace or surpass your teaching income.
Yeah.
So how would you say, for a teacher that's interested in this, get started where they can start to see that happening?
Yeah, I also want to bring up a huge part of what I did had nothing to do with social media. And I think that that's also like a really big part. A lot of these side hustles that are out there that claim that you can make, a lot of money, tell you that you have to be out and put yourself out there on social media, put your business out there on social media, all of that kind of stuff. And I just want, everybody listening to know, you do not have to do that. Being on social media did not align with who I am. I'm definitely more of like the introverted entrepreneur, where I don't want to be putting myself out there all the time. And just know that you don't have to be successful. And I just kind of want to throw that out there. But for somebody who's interested in doing something like this, I would suggest to take some time, go on to a platform like Etsy or Teachers Pay Teachers. If you have something in your mind of something that maybe you would want to create or that you've seen sold, I bet every person that's listening has bought something, whether it be on Etsy, whether it be on Teachers Pay Teachers, that was a couple dollars, it was a downloadable file, and they have it. Whether that was anything from an invitation template to a lesson to a planner or anything, a wall art, anything. They bought it. So they understand that. Thinking about, okay, well, what would I be kind of interested in creating? What would be in my wheelhouse? Go on to Etsy, go on to Teachers Pay Teacher, and enjoy going down a rabbit hole of seeing what's out there and not getting overwhelmed by, oh, look at all of these people who are having success. There's no way that I could do that. That's imposter syndrome. It's not true. And I'll teach you how to get around all of that. But just looking at the amount of things that are out there and things that haven't even been created yet. So just kind of looking, what could I make? Could I make a planner? Could I make a coloring page? Could I make a mindfulness chart? Could I make a chore chart? There's so many things out there. And I would say, first of all, finding a product that is high demand and low competition. That's what really made mine stand out. A lot of times people are picking things that are fully saturated. There's a ton of people selling wedding invitations right now. That might not be the best way to kind of get into this world. But if you had a unique position on wedding invitations, if you were doing something a little bit different, then that would stand you out from the crowd. So I would say finding a low competition product with high demand would be something that, is how to start. Get on Canva, and for free, it's free, just start designing. And I am super anti-hustle because I don't like being on social media and being on that spinning wheel of social media. My social media for my shop is a complete ghost town. The last time that I posted was in like April 2021, and it had 3 likes, and that was my husband, my best friend, and my mom. So like that's not what was driving traffic to my site. And I still made over 6 figures that year. So pin your products to Pinterest. Allow those search engines, because Pinterest is not a social media. It is an introvert's dream. It is just a way that, you can post things up on there and you don't have to interact with anybody or build the relationships. It is a way that it's a search engine, just like Google Image is a search engine. So pinning it to Pinterest, that's where people go to find these things. When people say, oh, I want to go find a lesson on whatever it is, they're looking at places like Pinterest or Google, and that they're not necessarily going on Etsy. They might go on Teachers Pay Teachers, but that, that SEO goes across the board. And then all of a sudden somebody's just Googling, hey, a lesson on math, for 4th grade. And those things are pinging, and it'll pull your stuff right up. There's no need to be on social media. There's no need to nobody's going on Instagram to find a math lesson. It's just not happening. I mean, and if you are, you're just sorting through a lot of shit before you get to the one that's good.
Right. That's funny. Yeah. I really hate that piece of entrepreneurship where it's like, well, now you have to become a digital marketer as well. It sounds like part of the beauty of Etsy is that it's all built in already, and it allows you to be strategic.
Yep.
How you market online with Pinterest or anything else.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I would say. I would say for somebody who's looking to start out, I also do have a free starter guide that goes over, like, for a full-blown beginner who just wants to kind of look over, see what it looks like. I have a free guide too, just to kind of see what those first little steps are to take, which is really good. But it is just finding a product that isn't super saturated, that's in high demand, creating it for free on Canva, and then marketing it through places like Pinterest, and just getting it out there, getting started. The beginning is going to suck, just like everything does in the beginning, but don't give up and keep working towards it. And you'll learn so much as you move forward with it.
Is there, speaking of learning as you move forward, is there a strategy that you teach or that you recommend where folks try out a whole bunch of different types of digital products and see sort of what their niche is, what's selling, what's kind of resonating with people? Or how could you use that sort of learning to get started to find your direction?
So I think when you're trying to do all the things, you're doing nothing. I think that niching down is incredibly important. I'll give an example of, like, if you were going to start an Etsy shop and you wanted to sell mugs in your shop, and you have two options. You can either sell all different kinds of mugs. You have one product, but it's all different kinds of mugs. It's all, funny mugs, dog mugs, wedding mugs, all the different kind of mugs, but that's all you're selling is just mugs. So that's your niche, is that. Or you say, I'm going to sell a bunch of different products, bunch of different kinds of products, but I'm going to sell it all based around dogs. So I'm going to sell dog collars, dog mugs, dog pillows, dog blankets. So you have a bunch of different kinds of products, but it's all in the same niche. What people think they need to do is, well, I need to have a dog mug, a wedding invitation, gardening tracker. They think that they need to do all the things in order for them to make the most sales. But what's wrong with that is that when somebody comes to your shop, they're confused. What is this person selling? What is going on here? They're selling all of the things. You need to niche down into either one single product and diversify it just with that one product, or diversify it in the same niche, the same genre, that like everything dog, it does, or everything gardening, and have all of the different products that's just based around that. So I wouldn't say go out there and just create a bunch of different things and see what sticks. I would look at one specific thing and find in the market. And ChatGPT is great. Go on ChatGPT and start having a conversation with it and just say, what in this, and I'm using gardening. I don't know why that's on my mind, but I'm passionate about gardening. What are some problems that a gardener would need solved that a digital product can, and it will spit out a million different things. It might say I don't even know. I actually don't have a garden, so I don't know why I'm using that as an example, but there's so many things that it'll spit back. And then you just kind of dive into that rabbit hole of, oh, okay, well, I can create this, I can create that, I can create this. And then gardening is what your shop is about, So I would say niche down. I wouldn't just do a million things and see what works.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, speaking, from your perspective, where you did do a lot to begin with, to even niche down to just to the Etsy realm. Well, that's great advice. And, when folks work with you, how does that typically go?
So right now I'm just working with some of my one-on-one clients where they're opening up their Etsy shop and I'm guiding them through hand-holding, how to set up the shop and how to find those products and how to do product research on what products are going to sell, kind of like what I was talking about, but really going in depth about that. Doing keyword research on what to put into your Etsy listings that are going to allow it to be, when somebody goes in and searches it, whether that's on Pinterest or Google or Etsy or Teachers Pay Teachers or any other site, that yours are starting to come up as the answer to that problem. And the keyword research is huge, because if you do that incorrectly from the start, your stuff's never going to be found. So I work with my clients on my one-on-one coaching on finding the right products, finding the right keywords, figuring out how to market that in an organic way, because I also don't believe in paid ads. Your products are, not as expensive as some physical products. So if you're using paid ads, the amount that's coming back to you is even lower. So how can we get customers to us for free, but a lot of them? And so I have a lot of really good marketing strategies that I've learned throughout the years to get that organic traffic to your shop. So that's kind of what we work with one-on-one. And then now I'm moving into taking all of my knowledge that I use in my one-on-one coaching sessions and putting it together in an online course. So that's probably going to be launched in about a couple weeks, maybe in end of January, hopefully, fingers crossed. It is exciting. So I just, that's kind of what I do, and help other people just either supplement or if they want fully replace their income, but mostly to just have other people know that there's something else out there and you're not stuck. No matter how much you think you are, you're not stuck.
Yeah, that's such an important message. I'm really passionate about that too. I just hate to think about people feeling like they are stuck and that they can't get out of something that's become miserable. And that's what I hear from a lot of teachers right now.
Yep.
Well, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you would want to leave my listenership with?
I think just give it a shot. Just give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. And this is probably the lowest startup of any kind of side hustle. You're not really trading your time for money by doing services. You already have the skill set. Go out there, make a worksheet. The only amount of money that you really need to do is it takes 20 cents to put a listing up on Etsy. Starting a shop is free. It's 20 cents to put a listing up. Put one listing up. Have some fun. Enjoy. See what happens. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If you give up, you give up. But try it. See what happens. And if you want any help or any advice on how to move forward, or if this is something that you maybe want to learn a little bit more out, I'm here for you. Slide into my DMs. I will answer you. That's where I am. Grab my starter guide. And that will kind of really spell out some things for you and an overview. If it's something that you're not interested in, then, totally cool. But just providing a way for people to know, like, they aren't stuck, and don't give up if you feel. And if anything that I said about how I felt teaching or being in the building resonated with you, then I think that you were also meant for different. And like I said, I don't want to say meant for more, but meant for different too. So don't ignore that feeling inside of you. Don't push that down anymore. Don't, let that feeling win and stay in a place that continues to make you feel that way. You don't have to.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow. There's nothing wrong with wanting to learn something new or try something else. 100%. I think that's really generous that you have these free resources available and that you're willing to talk to folks. And we'll put in the show notes the link to your course when that's out, and all of the freebies that you offer. But just, I want to thank you so much. This seems like such a low startup and low sort of barrier way to get into entrepreneurship. I really think this is powerful stuff, and I'm so thankful that you're sharing it with us.
Yeah, it really is. It's not something that you have to put an investment in. You don't have to go out and buy materials. You have everything already, and the skill set. Teachers are the best, so we have it all already. We're the hardest working.
Just blows my mind. It's like we don't even see ourselves as the really rich, like, makers and doers that we are. It's insane. Like, we know that at school they're leveraging and sucking us dry, but it's like we don't look at what they're taking. I mean, we have so much to offer. It's insane.
And we're the hardest working. Like, we are the hardest working profession out there. And yeah, I mean, we're meant for this. We're meant to do something like this.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll be interested to follow you and see how this evolves.
Yes, thank you so much.
If you're here, you've probably been feeling it for a while now, that pull to leave teaching. But with that comes the anxiety of the unknown, the fear that you're actually trapped, and of course that daunting question, what's next? Well, enter our new 90-minute holistic strategy session. This is tailored just for you. It's aimed at helping you uncover careers that resonate, to craft your resume draft, and it's okay if you don't have anything yet and you're starting from scratch, and we'll unlock the secrets to landing your next job with clarity and with confidence. Let's get you out of this cycle of uncertainty and pain and carve out your new path together. Book your transformative session today over at whatsnextteacher.com. Thanks for tuning in to How to Leave Teaching. It's a complex transition, but you're not in it alone. Dive deeper and find more resources on our website. Keep pushing forward, and we'll be right here with you in the next episode.